Hello guys, a very warm welcome to my YouTube channel called On Level Ground, where we simply, sincerely, and frankly speak about the Word of God, share our faith, and speak our hearts. My name is Esther, and today I would love to introduce you to a new series. I think that's what you call it, a series, right? Anyways, I had another word on my mind. Anyways, I would love to introduce you to a new series called Wisdom Bites. And I came up with this actually quite spontaneously because as I read the Bible daily, sometimes not daily, I try to read it daily. We all do, right? As I try to read it daily, there are certain verses that, spring out to me. We oftentimes, I think all of us can admit and should be able to admit that there are often so many things we do not understand in the Bible, context-wise. We don't have the historical knowledge or whatever it is that is missing, or the revelation simply that is just missing. But there are certain verses, I think everyone can attest to that. There are certain verses that spring out to you that the Lord is trying to highlight to you for a particular reason. And I've had that certain verses spring out to me, that they stick out to me, and that the Lord is trying to tell me something particular. At the same time, there's certain verses that spring out to me where I feel like he just wants to share just a nugget of wisdom with me. And I normally tend to type that out or write it down. It's not long, it's quite short, but just a nugget of wisdom to remember with certain situations, things he may remind me of. And I just thought I want to share that in this series. This is a kind of content, so this won't be a long video. It shouldn't be a long video. It shouldn't exceed 15 minutes. And as I love getting into, more heavy topics, things that I love to get into deeply, getting to the nitty gritty of heavy topics in the Bible and foundational topics in the Bible, I think it's necessary also to not ignore the little nuggets of wisdom that the Lord has placed in the Bible for us to see and remember and to take with us in our rucksack and, apply in life or share with others when they need it. So this is what this series will do. And today I would love to get into a verse. So normally these nuggets are really triggered by just one particular verse. So the verse that I want to give you a nugget from today is Genesis 25:34, which says, "Then Jacob gave bread and lentil stew to Esau. He ate, drank, got up, and went away. Therefore Esau despised his birthright." And just to give you a little context in case you don't know, Jacob and Esau, they were both twin brothers. Esau was born first, and then Jacob came behind him. And they were both born to Isaac, who is the son of Abraham. I hope you probably all have heard of Abraham. And, they were both so different. They were twins. Esau came first, but they were both really different. Obviously, every single one of us is made uniquely. I'm not trying to say that twins are same in character. So Esau, just also in looks, Esau was a very hairy man and, more of a masculine type of guy. He went out hunting. So Isaac loved him more than he loved Jacob. But Jacob was the one, he had soft skin and was more quiet, was more a cozy type of guy, loved to stay home. So Rebecca, which is his mom, loved him more. So they both had their favorites. So one day, Esau went hunting and he came back home. He was really hungry and Jacob had just cooked a stew. And he was really hungry, so he asked Jacob to, if he could share some stew with him. And Jacob was a little deceptive. He was a little deceptive man. He was a little liar. I sound judgmental. I'm not trying to judge him, but he did lie. Unfortunately, a couple of times especially with Esau, he was active in the ministry of deception. Let's just put it that way. So as Esau asked him for stew, Jacob demanded Esau's birthright as the firstborn in place for the stew. Basically, he said, "I want your birthright and I'll give you the stew." So I guess, I guess Esau was reluctant, but he was really hungry. And at that moment, it seemed desirable, or it seemed desirable enough for him to give up his birthright. So he did. He gave up his birthright for the stew. And this verse is what is expressing that very moment after Esau had eaten the stew and then how he felt after that. So I'm just going to read to you guys in this format. I normally write down or journal out very quickly, not too much, what I think or what comes to my mind or my heart concerning these verses that I will then go into. So I will just read it to you guys because as it comes in that moment, it's quite raw, and I think it's just the most authentic way of, giving you the word. However, it will then minister to you is between you and God. So what I wrote to this was, I find it very interesting that Esau made the conscious decision to give away his precious birthright for a fleeting physical need. A right that expresses wealth and inheritance is what he gave away for momentary satisfaction. What is even more interesting is that after that intentional decision he had made, he despised his birthright. He did not despise his decision, but he despised his birthright. Do you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of one-night stands. Not that I have a lot of experience with that, but I have heard quite often that after people sleep with each other, the men at least feel a disgust towards the woman they just now intimately engaged with. Oops. Okay, let me continue. They made the conscious decision to give something very precious to that woman, and then they despised them, not the decision. Why blame the woman or the birthright? Because it's easier to devalue what you have lost than to devalue yourself. That woman and that birthright remind you of what you gave up so easily and what you give up so easily every single day. It reminds you that you gave up something purposeful for something purposeless. Isn't it sad? His birthright was a valuable thing, yet he despised it. I know there are people who are prideful and deal with doubt to believe that the gospel is too good to be true. But then there are others who are prideful who don't want to acknowledge that the gospel is true. Why? Because it would force you to realize and acknowledge that all your life you have been trading truth for lies, purpose for emptiness, and inheritance for an oatmeal. The stupidity/ignorance and failure is oftentimes too much to bear for so many people. Many people hate God because they fear the truth. Yeah, I'll just let that sink in for a second. I don't know who this is for. I don't want to even put too many disclaimers. Whatever stuck out to you for a reason. And I know the Lord will speak about that more to you if you are open and if you ask him. So if this word spoke for you, if anything of it spoke to you, then I just pray that the Lord speaks to your heart and that he opens up your mind to understand what he's trying to tell you. This is not a condemnation. This is not to condemn you. This is not to accuse you of anything. This is judgment in no shape or form, because I have gone through my fair share of things in life and, made my mistakes. So, but I know there is another way, and I know that the Lord constantly is trying to show us the other way and how much grace we have received to walk that path with him. So yeah, I hope this has ministered to you. I love you guys and see you next time.